These are things that when a child and a son or a daughter wants to come up and speak to you, when you tell him that, he'll go away in seclusion. You had that chance to let him speak up, and you didn't. You ruined that chance. Islam doesn't say when you catch a sinner, Allahu Akbar, why don't we read the forbearance of the Prophet ﷺ with sinners? He was a prophet. Do we own Deen? Huh? Have we done anything for Deen? This is the Prophet ﷺ who gave his life, gave his children's lives, his grandchildren's life, everything for Deen. But when a sinner comes, how does he deal with him? When a person is urinating in the masjid, the Sahaba want to take care of him. He says, leave him, let him complete what he's doing. Allahu Akbar. That was the akhlaq and the forbearance, because it doesn't help now to stop him, let him complete what he's doing, and afterwards we'll take care of it. But we, mashallah, are so pious and are so religious that if our child ever owes up and says, you know what, mom and dad, I slipped, then that's the last thing he will ever open up his mouth and say, because when he sees that bomb that explodes on him, he'll say, forget it. No, I used to speak to my parents. You see? No communication. Islam doesn't tell you that. This is not some rigid form of Islam. This is not fundamentalism. This is wrong Islam. There's no sense, the books of hadith, anything like that. This is not how we're supposed to speak to our kids. What is the complaints? This topic is so broad and vast. I have to work out every single role here. So I'm trying to put in a few points for each one. The children are complaining that the parents, as I said, no communication, or if we do mention some problems, they're not willing to hear. I'm busy. Can't you see I'm busy with work? Can't you see it's time for me to go to sleep? Or if they ever do speak, it's just about education. And always forgetting the big picture. That mashallah, my son has been so good for the past 29 days. My daughter has been so good for the past 29 days. One day he or she slips. One day he or she forgets to, clean the room, forget to do the homework on time, or whatever. We completely forget what they've done in the past. Some say that we feel that our parents don't encourage us. When we come out second place, seriously, if you listen to this, the brother speaking, you'll cry. I tried so hard and I came out second place, and what happens when I come home? Why didn't you come out first? That's all. That's all they have to say. That's all they've got to say. How are we planning ever and thinking that we're going to have healthy, psychologically healthy and strong kids if this is how we're going to speak to our kids? So those education and the respect and that little artificial smile that we have with our clients outside, why does it disappear when we come home? Why does it disappear? Are we two-faced? If we have the courtesy to open up the door and say thank you and good morning and good evening to some random stranger, then that young boy and young daughter of yours, or for that matter, your parents who have done so much for you, how much does it take to say, Assalamu alaikum? Because we're used to it. These are the same old people. Not getting any money out of it. I might be a smile outside and get something out of it. The guy might be willing to purchase something. A'udhu billah. So brothers and sisters, communication is key. The parents need to open up the channel, I think, and begin communicating. And inshallah, the children, most of the time, already are communicating with people you don't want them to communicate about their problems. Possibly. So that openness is there. We just have to channel that into the right direction. So if the parents approach them and say, how was your day? The complaint is phone calls, right? As I said, we're texting 600, 800 texts a month or 1,000. Phone calls as well. 100 minutes, 200 minutes, individual plans that the youngsters have. 500-minute individual plans. How much of the 500 minutes is being spent speaking to the parents? Fine, I understand we're at school, we're at university, we're at college, we're away from home. But if we have time to keep our communication with people we met in high school or in grade school, or people who we met in some random event on the other side of the country, why can't we give a ring to our parents? And if the parents are complaining, then I say that why don't you make an initiative and start doing that? Don't call only to start screaming and say, it's 10 o'clock, why aren't you at home? Or why isn't the garbage taken out? You can call them for that as well. But now, call a few times now just to say, son, I want to know how you're doing. How was your day? Daughter, how was your day? Inshallah, hopefully, If these kids have sense, and they do inshallah, when they see that their parents are calling and asking how things are going, and they're not just screaming at them, eventually these children as well will begin to communicate with their parents. And if our parents are not going to do that, those who are just the youngsters who are sitting here, then it's our responsibility. Just ring our parents. Ask them how things are. Other than asking them for money. Right? Because I'm out at college, I need something. No, just call them and ask them how things are. So that communication and the sense of becoming patient listeners. So when our brother or sister has to say something to us, has to vent his or her anger, then just listen. Being an imam or working with a community, you have to learn that, trust me. You have to sit for half an hour and the person is talking about his personal problems. You just got to listen patiently. And you learn this very difficult task of being a good patient listener. Because there's no way you can solve his or her problem unless you fully understand the situation. And many times, our siblings, when they come and they say something, and they're frustrated, all they want to do is they want to vent that anger. They're frustrated from outside, they have no one out there to speak to. And they come and take it on you. And they're not trying to, get angry at you. It's not like you've done anything to them. But they don't know where else to go. And if we retaliate, and if we start screaming at them as well, then we haven't done any better. Accept it. Listen to what he's got to say, what she's got to say. And try to think what advice you can give to them. As parents as well, we need to become good listeners. Do not interrupt the person. If he's saying, oh my God, I did this and I did that, don't even change the face of your color and your expression. Just listen. Tight-lipped. Just listen to what he or she has to say. And then you can move forward. And you can possibly find some solutions. So, communication and correct communication is of extreme importance. How are we possibly planning to do that? Other than what I've mentioned. Another very good way to do that is we have a halaqah at home. A halaqah, 5 minutes. Start off with 5 minutes. We're going to read a page of the Quran with a translation. We're going to read the tafsir. Or we're going to read a few hadith. From any of the books of hadith, mashallah, that you have here. Targhib al-Tarhib, there's Fadal al-A'mal, there's Hayat al-Sahaba, there's Muntakhab hadith, there's Riyad al-Salihin. Few hadiths with translation, and that's it. You don't have to sit there commenting on it. Just translate it. That's mentioned in the book. And after that, you can discuss with each other. What's going to happen with this? Two beautiful things. Number one, it will be a reason for the whole family to get together. The whole family to get together. This is a must. This is a must. This is not a college dorm. This is not a firehouse where people are always running. This is a home where members of the family live together. There has to be a communication. Or if you want to look at it at a business perspective, fine. How can a business thrive? How can a business make any profit if the board members and the chairman don't sit together, the vice presidents don't sit together? If they don't communicate. If they sit there communicating with their family members and do not have a single meeting with each other, is there any hope for that company? So this type of gathering will, number one, open up that channel of communication. And number two, will bring the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into our homes. The Islamic spirit that we are striving to bring into our lives, into our homes, will be brought through this. Don't point fingers at anyone. Don't look down upon anyone. Don't try to grab someone. Say, okay, we are having a family, mashallah, family time together. Everyone has to be here. And if we are too far ahead in that stage that no one cares about if everyone has to be here, then fine. Start off with 2 people. And inshallah, you make dua, you carry on turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, eventually 3rd, 4th. Hopefully a day will come when all the members of the family will get together. If we cannot possibly do this on a daily basis, bare minimum is once a week. Okay, if there are people who are going out and their timings are such that they work night shifts, then at least once a week we have such a gathering where we discuss some Deeni aspect. Even those close-knit families, I ask you, when was the last time we had the discussion just about Deen? How can we, brothers, if we're going to come to the masjid, we spend how little time? We come for 1 Isha or 1 Maghrib in the masjid. The rest of the time we're staying at home. There's angels here, but if we don't speak about this at home, there's shayateen there. So as long as we're here, we're charged, we're protected. But as soon as we go home, we've got the shaitan there, dining in with us and sleeping in with us. if we don't recite the du'as when we enter the home?